You are listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive, Patient Safety Radio, now heard on 25 stations in 15 states. I am your hostess, Pat Rulo. So happy to spend this next hour with you to help you survive any healthcare or hospital encounter. And now it's time for the healthcare hazard of the week.
Drive your SUV, talking on your cell phone. Miracle of technology, this magic cell phone. You walking around like it's glued to your ear with a ha-ha, hee-hee. A new drug with a battery, a cell phone.
Cell phones. The dangers of cell phone radiation have been a hot topic lately, particularly after the World Health Organization gave the chilling announcement that cell phone radiation could possibly increase the risk of brain cancer and bumped the rating to a Class 2B carcinogen, meaning there is a possibility of causing cancer. Now, lest you brush that off, keep in mind that nothing that has ever made that list has ever been removed. We're talking about goodies like lead and DDT. Additionally, research came out that suggested cell phones are responsible for killing off bees. I don't have time to delve into that concept, but I'm not going to dismiss it entirely. An international expert panel of pathologists, oncologists, and public health specialists recently declared that electromagnetic fields emitted by cell phones should be considered a potential human health risk. To date, a number of countries, including France, Germany, and India, have issued recommendations that exposure to electromagnetic fields should be limited. In addition, Toronto's Department of Public Health is advising teenagers and young children to limit their use of cell phones to avoid potential health risks. I never gave this much thought when I first heard about it, considering all of the other doom and gloom that's always in the news. But once I received my smart meter notice that the utility company was going to replace my old safe electric meter with the new high-tech radiation-emitting one, I began some serious research on the subject. And since radio frequency waves are emitted from cell phones, as well as smart meters, Wi-Fi, cordless phones, baby monitors, wireless home security systems, cell phone towers, and so on, I thought it sensible to share my findings with you. I'll wager a bet that many of you don't know this little tidbit. The FCC requires all cell phone manufacturers to warn consumers to never carry their cell phone in their pocket, or they will be exposed to radiation emission that exceeds federal safety guidelines. Here's what I found written about my phone in the user guide in small print. It says, if you receive texts or calls while the phone is on your body, in a pocket or tucked into the waistband of your pants or wherever, you are exceeding radiation exposure guidelines established by the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. Well, here's what I found after doing just a little research. Here's a quote from the website of BlackBerry's manufacturer, Research in Motion, RIM. It says, if you do not use a body-worn accessory supplied or approved by RIM, Research in Motion, when you carry the BlackBerry device, keep the device at least 0.98 inches, 25 millimeters, from your body when the BlackBerry device is turned on and connected to a wireless network. If we want to translate that, it means you're never supposed to hold the BlackBerry, and this was a specific BlackBerry Pearl and possibly other BlackBerry devices, closer than 1 inch from your body when it's turned on. I ask, is anyone carrying a ruler with them? So how many of you have seen this warning? All cell phone manufacturers are required to inform consumers of this warning, and yet people still doubt that this exposure to radiation is a problem. They wouldn't be covering their you-know-whats if there was no chance that these things are dangerous to our health. Just like that silly Surgeon General's warning on cigarette packages that people ignored or made fun of for years. Just saying, folks, I'm not being an alarmist by talking about this today.
Nothing really matters but your cell phone. Cell phone. Cell phone.
Now, the good thing about cell phones, compared to smart meters, is that you can turn them off. When not using your phone, turn the thing off. Problem solved. If you can't, many phones have a function that allows their cell phones to be used on airplanes. I've heard that putting it in airplane mode will stop the RF, meaning radio frequency transmission, but there are still lower frequency magnetic fields emitted from the phone while it is on, so just turn it off. And people, don't keep the phone in your pocket. If you're a guy and you keep the cell phone in your front pocket, you could be putting your sperm count in danger. A recent study suggests that cell phone use is linked to lower sperm quality and a decrease in fertility. And recently, while waiting in the Salt Lake City airport for 2 hours, I wandered through the shops and saw pajamas for teenagers with moose tracks on them and a handy-dandy cell phone pocket on the front of the pant that actually said in writing, "Cell phone pocket." That's right, young lady, irradiate your ovaries. So it's no wonder that fertility problems seem to be on the rise. If you're looking to start a family someday, keep your phones away from the family jewels. And then talk about sleeping with the enemy. I know scores of people who take their phones to bed with them. They use them to check the time in the middle of the night. They use them to set the alarm to wake them in the morning. And many actually check Facebook in the wee hours of the morning.
Hello? Yeah, totally. Whatever, I'm on my cell. Uh-huh. Hello? Hello? Wait, I think I'm losing you. Wait, hold on one second.
Contract.
Hello?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, hi.
Say that.
But no, I'm on the other line.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go back. I got 14 other lines.
Yeah. Oh, hey, contagious.
Oh my God.
The answer is 43. Every day.
Don't ask me why. And lots of younger users text in the middle of the night. Here's the thing. Cell phone radiation can impact your sleep. A team of researchers in Sweden did a 1-year study where they followed over 4,000 young adult cell phone users. Their research suggested that a high frequency of cell phone use can lead to increased sleep disturbances. If you use your phone as an alarm, put it in airplane mode. Or here's what I recently did. Because I found out that electric alarm clocks and radio clocks also emit low levels of radio frequencies that can cause sleep problems, I removed the clock from the bedroom and replaced it with a battery-operated clock. I do not have a TV in the bedroom, nor do I have a regular telephone in the bedroom either. Nighttime is the opportunity for your body to refresh, rejuvenate, and replenish. Why harass the poor thing by bombarding it with unnecessary and unnatural radio waves? And as much as I'm not a fan of texting as a way to avoid human contact, if you must talk, texting actually requires less signal power than making calls. Texting is an easy way to avoid the higher radiation exposure of putting the phone to your ear. Although, anytime the device is receiving and transmitting, RF is present. Oh, and just be sure you have unlimited texting on your plan. Otherwise, you might have to take out a loan to pay your bill. Or if you don't want to text, or you don't know how, use the speakerphone setting and place the phone at least 5 feet away from you. The farther the cell phone is, the better. The only problem with that is if you're in public place, then everyone can hear your conversation. And depending on the reason for the call, the other party may say some unsavory things you wouldn't want your mother to hear.
We hear everything you said while talking on your cell phone.
Which then takes me to this little polite piece of advice. Avoid using your cell phone in public places where you can passively expose others to your phone's electromagnetic fields. How interesting is that one? Remember passive cigarette smoke? First, there was the day when smokers puffed all over the restaurants and in airplanes. Come to find out, it's not safe. And in fact, the passive inhalation of smoke was just as dangerous. Do you ever think we'll see the day when cell phones are banned in public places? Wow, how rude of that man. He is subjecting me to radiation pollution by using his cell phone.
What's the nerve of you talking on your cell phone? Ain't you got nothing better to do talking on your cell phone?
Well, an alternative to talking on speakerphone is to use an air tube headset. In a recent article from Mobile Magazine, they say, while the cell phone industry loves to tout headsets as safer, the wires used can drive harmful cell phone transmissions straight into your ear. An alternative is an air tube headset that functions similar to a stethoscope. It uses a hollow air tube to transmit sound from a speaker located at a distance from the head. The tube and earpiece contain no metal conductors, which eliminates any radiation present in a conventional headset. And then from a source called cellphonehealth.com, they say, using a hands-free kit and making a call with a mobile phone clipped to your belt also means the phone will generally be working at a higher power level. That's because it's harder to transmit from waist height than head height. The harder the instrument has to work to carry the call, the greater the radiation that is emitted. This means the body tissue in the lower body area, which has good conductivity and absorbs radiation more quickly than the head, is receiving more radiation than the head would if the phone were used without an earpiece. Plus, because people think hands-free kits are safer, they tend to spend more time on the phone when using one of these devices. Now, I'm not endorsing AirTube headsets. I have no idea if they really are any better, just passing on what I've read. Personally, I would not use any headset, but rather would opt to keep the conversation short. Don't have an hour-long conversation, especially right before bed. Even a 2-minute call has been found to alter the natural electrical activity of the brain for up to an hour afterwards. Personally, I'm not a big fan of random telephone yakking. If a person can't say what they have to say in a few minutes, I avoid talking to them. To me, time is extremely valuable, and I don't want to spend it with mindless chatter that increases my exposure to radiation. For longer conversations, use a landline with a corded phone, not a cordless phone, which uses electromagnetic emitting technology similar to that of cell phones. Now, if you must use a cell phone for a longer chat, switch sides regularly to spread out your exposure. Before putting your cell phone to your ear, wait until your correspondent has picked up. This limits the power of the electromagnetic field emitted near your ear and the duration of your exposure. Some studies have shown a correlation between which side of the head a cell phone user holds the phone and where tumors develop. And I mentioned this before in passing, but the harder the phone works to find and maintain a connection, the more radiation being emitted. Don't use your cell phone in an area with poor reception. Don't use the cell phone in enclosed and metal spaces, such as your car or elevators. Especially in a car, your phone is scanning the available towers as you travel at high speed, increasing its workload and increasing dangerous spikes and bursts as the phone repeatedly attempts to connect to a new relay antenna. Another great reason not to use your cell phone in the car or an elevator is you're inside a metal box. Radio frequency travels like a bullet, but is easily ricocheted whenever it hits metal. Transmitting these RF frequencies in a metal cage leads to the RF bouncing around several times before exiting the vehicle, and it increases your overall exposure levels. Now here's a real obvious one, but do not allow children to use a cell phone except for emergencies. The developing organs of a fetus or a child are the most likely to be sensitive to any possible effects of exposure to electromagnetic fields. Why? Because children's skulls are less dense and their brains are smaller, resulting in higher penetration rates to a larger portion of the brain. And I'm sure this is sound advice for pregnant mothers too. And I just love the recent development. This dad of 6 children developed smart pajamas. The pajamas are impregnated with these codes, and now parents scan the children's pajamas with their smartphones, and it automatically reads them a bedtime story or sings them a lullaby. What a great idea! Let's bathe our children in radio frequency waves while they're going to sleep. How about just reading them a story? And here's an interesting one. If you must carry your cell phone on you, make sure that the keypad is positioned toward your body and the back is positioned toward the outside so that the electromagnetic fields move away from you rather than through you. I know it's a lot to think about, and we have become so connected to our technology in just the past 10 years that it seems impossible to live without it. But here's the kicker. I think it will come to pass that one day we will realize that it is impossible to live with it. So grab your scale. It's time to weigh in. Convenience versus the unknown health effects. I hope we all make the right choice.
You're talking, yakking, talking, yakking, talking, yakking, talking, yakking, talk, talk. What's yak, yak? Cell phone, cell phone, cell phone, cell phone, cell phone, cell phone.
If you like the cell phone song you just heard, I do. It's by my new friends called Moose Butter, a world-renowned, award-winning comedy a cappella group that has performed thousands of shows over the past decade. If you need an off-the-chart showstopper for your next event, they have done just about every kind of show you can imagine. Fundraisers, school assemblies, corporate entertainment, arts festivals, educational programs. Visit their website, moosebutter.com.